All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Decoding Babylon. Actually, this week we got a guest host. We got Aaron, Tune Thy Heart from TikTok. Well, Aaron is the new dam guy, and when I say dam guy, I'm not cursing. I'm talking about the Hoover Dam, and that's actually how I hooked up with Aaron. He's been making some Hoover Dam content, and people have been tagging me because, I'm that old dam guy. So about damn time. But Aaron, welcome to Decoding Babylon. Tell us about.
Thank you, man.
Tell us about that Hoover Dam.
Well, I mean, it's fascinating. Like you said, we were briefly talking before. You've been going at this for a while with the Hoover Dam stuff, and I've always been fascinated by it. But it's been a more recent dig for me, and it's just the more I learn about it, the more I realize there's so much more that I don't know about it, because one path leads me to another, which leads me to another, and there's stuff that I'm finding that like nobody's talking about, and then there's stuff that briefly references it, and that doesn't. I mean, there's so much of it's just theory, right? Because all we have to go off of is what we see and what they've shown us, but with symbolism alone, there's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's what I'm sure, as you've researched, when you find out, like in Freemasonry, all these secret societies, like Manly P. Hall once said, their symbols are their language. So so when you say there's symbolism there, so obviously this is saying something without saying it, like we can understand.
Yeah.
So like obviously we can put the pieces together, and I think that's what, obviously, once you start looking into this, that's the funny thing. When I did my first video and I was like, it's about damn time, and I was saying, but you might have been thinking, the Hoover Dam. So what, JT? It's a hydroelectric dam. So what? It blocks the Colorado River and creates Lake Mead. So what? And I'm going to show you so what. I'll show you so what. It's more than it seems. And
so much more.
And it literally is. It's like, it's not just a big public works project. It's not just for creating Lake Mead. It's obviously something more, because, again, what's up with all the symbolism there? Like, obviously the angels.
They don't do it. They don't do it for nothing. They never do it for nothing.
And I think the one thing that really kind of blew me away is when I was researching it. So obviously I started with the angels, like what's up with them. And I remember before not knowing anything other than this is strange, this symbolism with the angels. Yeah. And then finding out there's that star map in front of them that literally dates through the stars, through the constellations, when the dam was dedicated, 1936, which is interesting because the dam was not finished then.
Right.
They dedicated it before it was finished, so I don't think it was. I'm pretty sure it didn't start for like another year or so, or 2 years.
Dude, yeah, no, there's and then the link on I've got it right in front of me. I've got in my notes here. Yeah, the star chart, and then the reference to Alcyone. Right?
Alcyone.
Alcyone. Yeah. Sorry.
Alcyone.
Please correct me when I get these things wrong. Yeah, it's like, at what point? We both know it's just none of it is coincidence. But it's like there's so many layers to each individual thing.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
So there's the angels. There's so many layers just to that. I mean, I saw one of your videos recently where you showed it in. Oh gosh, what movie was it?
Doctor Strange.
The Doctor Strange movie, and I'm kind of in a new thing now where like I'm not watching anything because I just don't want to expose myself to stuff anymore. But I didn't pick it up when I had originally seen it, and when I look at them and when I was like doing my research on them, I saw different. I kind of saw them from a different perspective, but I wasn't aware of how many references there are, like just to that one piece of the pie, right?
You're right.
So
right. The angels have a very distinct look, and I think that. So when I first made my first video about the Hoover Dam, obviously it was all about the angels. Like, why are they there?
Right.
And then so I'm pretty sure I'd watched Doctor Strange when it came out in the movie theater because I wanted to make videos about it. And then I did the Hoover Dam video. And then I remember it was funny because I literally did a TikTok live where I was like, hey, who wants to watch? Doctor Strange came out on Disney Plus, and I was like, who wants to watch it with me? And I'm going to Mystery Science Theater 3000 this whole thing.
That's a great idea.
I need to pull it back up because it was funny because when I was watching it, and I probably had made two Hoover Dam videos at that point, when I noticed, oh my gosh, the angels. And I was just like, I couldn't believe that it's like, yeah, again, they're very distinct, obviously with their arms and wings raised like that.
Yep.
Again, and like so, you're making this connection between, literally, it's the Illuminati in the Marvel universe. You know, everybody thinks Freemasonry, Illuminati stuff about the Hoover Dam, and it's like Disney decides to put these specific angels, which is interesting. It's 4 angels instead of 2.
Right.
And I think of like the 4 angels that are chained up under the Euphrates River. Is it possibly something? 4 elemental spirits, you know, something about that. And yeah, like is Disney saying something without saying it? And of course,
the answer is always yes.
Probably right. Yeah, probably yeah.
Yeah, no, it's totally true, and that's one of the aspects, and that's what I love. Like, you know, we met on TikTok. That's one of the things I love about that is that everybody's coming at these things from a different angle because it's like there's something different that brought us to that point. But you're 100% right. Like, why 4? Because we both know that in these secret societies, numbers are everything.
Yeah.
The symbolism and the numbers are everything. Like, it's not just nothing. And I hadn't even put that together in terms of the angels being trapped under the Euphrates. Like, my mind is so. The more I learn, the more I fall back into this position of, what do I even really know? You know,
right?
Like, how do we even know the Euphrates is really the Euphrates, right? Like things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what, when I started making the videos, it was like somebody was saying the Hoover Dam is really the Euphrates and it's this kind of stuff, and it's like, well, you know, like put it this way, I have seen so much deception now. I guess nothing would totally shock me. Obviously, that'd be pretty shocking. I got to be honest, that would be totally shocking. But like, it would not be like. At this point, I've learned a lot of, we've uncovered a lot of stuff. Now, when it comes down to it, like, there's something significant about this place, though. And I've just in my own research, starting with the Hoover Dam, I sense there's something that is very significant about the western part of the United States. Like,
yes, I agree.
The desert, I got to be honest, the desert, the Grand Canyon, the rock formations. You think even like Devil's Tower. I think it's in. I forget what state was that. Wyoming. There's
Wyoming, yes.
There's different rock formations. Like, there's different parts like Arizona. It looks like it's been like a nuclear blast, like more than a nuclear blast. Like, what did that? How did the rocks start to look like mushrooms on all these things? And so I'm wondering.
You're speaking my language, man.
Which is interesting about, like, so you think about like connecting the Grand Canyon. You think about like the Anasazi Indians, who are really, when you hear the term Anasazi, it doesn't really depict any particular people because it just means ancient ones. So it means ancient people who lived here are the Anasazi. And so the Hoover Dam, actually, again, the symbolism, they have petroglyphs. They have symbols that were on the petroglyphs, like depicted on their terrazzo floors at the Hoover Dam. And so, like, yeah, so then you start to look into it, like you would say, like, okay, it's an homage to the Pueblo Indians. No, it's more than that, because it's like these Anasazi believed in certain beings and deities, and the people who put these statues up believe in the same ones.
Yep.
So there's a connectivity where it's almost like in Mesopotamia, like you had like the Greeks would know that when they were going to Tyre, like was Alexander the Great would know that their king, their god was also their god. It was like it was Melkart to the people of Tyre was Hercules to them. So again, so when they go over to native, they find out who the Native American gods are. They're making the connections of their gods, and I think that's why obviously they put their symbols there, because they're not just symbols, they're sigils.
Yeah, exactly.
They mean something.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole Western, like you said, the Western United States. I'm quite familiar with like the Arizona, California, Nevada territories, and there is a lot of as I guess we would call them Native American stories, folklore, that's happened. And I'm not sure. Have you been to Arizona before?
When I was young, we drove through like we literally. I'm from Virginia.
Yeah.
My family loaded up. We got like my dad rented a Suburban, and we drove from Virginia all the way to Utah. So we like kind of went through some places, but I've been out west, like ski trips and stuff like that. But only peripherally have I visited any of these sites. Like, of course, I was a kid. I did go see the cave or like the cliff dwellings of the Anasazi people, which was obviously even insane as a 7-year-old.
And there's a lot of that stuff in Arizona, in Arizona specifically. Now, because Arizona's got the Grand Canyon, it's got Sedona, right? It's got like, and then when you get up towards like northern Arizona, like on the way to Utah, there's a bunch of like the structures like you're talking about, like it almost looks like there's barren land, and then it almost looks like ancient towers, like towers or cities that were like nuked, like you were saying.
Yeah, like if you look in the crazy thing about like the Grand Canyon is they have like the Temple of Isis, the Tower of Osiris. They have like they have like another temple to Shiva, I think, in there, and it's like they just said some guy just named it that because
of course,
for reasons.
Yeah,
and you're like, but it kind of does look like there's an entrance to the temple to Isis. Like, what is that place? And then you find out it's off limits. Okay,
exactly.
So now you start to get suspicious. Like, all right, okay, well, it's dangerous. It's like, well, people go missing in national parks every day, all day, throughout the country. So they're real worried they'll go missing in the Grand Canyon for some reason.
Well, did you know that North America has of every continent, North America has more cave entrances into whatever you want to call that, whether you want to call it Hollow Earth, Middle Earth, whatever.
Yeah.
North America has more entrances than any other continent. And there's a reason why there are so many national parks that are protected. And when you look at them, they've got tens of thousands of square miles that are protected by these national parks, but only a small amount of that is you're able to publicly access. And the majority of them, you're not even allowed to fly drones at all. They don't want anybody...
Well, there's a lot of sketchy things. And when you really think about it, obviously, as taxpayers, it's ours. I mean, it should be ours, and we really have no say over it. Then obviously they try to say they're protecting some animal or they're protecting you, whatever. I mean, but yeah, there's so much parts of the United States that we can't actually go to. And this is a free country, right? It's not Russia, is it?
I know. And so what's crazy about Hoover Dam is its location, right? So you've got it actually kind of forms a triangle if you think about it, between like Sedona and the Grand Canyon and Hoover Dam, right? So like Sedona is kind of like southeast, Grand Canyon is north of that, and then Hoover Dam is like to the west of that, and it forms kind of like a little bit of a wonky triangle, but it is one. And they're close enough in proximity to wonder and for it to warrant deeper questioning of like what is really going on, like what is really taking place and what is the significance of those areas. I know that in Arizona a lot of people feel this, but like there is a not to get like too spiritual, but like there is a heaviness. There is like a
obviously
there feel it.
No, well, I think if you think about it, like, when you hear about like the sacred places and sacred mountains, and obviously it's biblical that mountains were sacred because they denoted deities.
Yes.
It's like because what people who are spiritual believe is that the mountains are where the heavens meet the earth, and it's like that's where the gods descended. So if you think about it, like, and I wonder this is what I wonder. That again, if these things do look like they almost like the wrath of God might have been poured out on this place at some point.
Oh yeah.
Just think about it, like, guys, take a look at a map and look at where the deserts are in the world, where they look like they've been scorched in the middle. Like it's very strange. And obviously, if you read your Bible, read carefully when God says He's going to judge places, and and these people are going to be just going to filled with like basic demons and jackals and owls, and people
Right.
are going to hiss, and they're going to say they're going to be appalled by this place. And it's like, it's all these places God said nothing was going to grow there anymore. These places were going to be torn up. And then you go out west, and it's like, there's all this lush green places in America, and then there's just this place that's this bleak,
Barren desert
mess.
places.
And then there's this massive hole in the earth. And when I say massive, it's 200. Like, this blew me away that the Grand Canyon from one visitor center to the other side was 200 miles. Like, I mean, obviously
That's
for
insane.
us, like, I mean, it is insane. Like, and everyone's like, oh, the Colorado River did that. Oh yeah, how long did
There's
that
no
take?
way.
Well, how come no other rivers have done that?
Yeah, there's just no way.
I mean,
There's
it's
no
like,
way. I mean, we can't possibly know exactly what happened, but there's just no way. Like I don't buy that for 1 second. Why there? Right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like you said, like why there? Like look at the size of the Mississippi. That's not a giant. It didn't burrow into the ground and make it deeper. Like
it did. Yeah, it didn't make a massive canyon for some reason.
yeah, and I know that there are different sea levels, but like it's just, dude, there are different elevations, I should say, but it just, there's so much of it that doesn't make sense. And I genuinely believe that like all of those tie together. And I know from I've traveled a lot and I've driven through those areas quite a lot. And so I'm pretty familiar. And it's true when you're driving through a bunch of those areas. And again, like in northern Arizona, when you're going into Utah, it's, since I was a kid, literally since I was a kid, I remember looking out the window as we'd be traveling. And in my mind, like I knew that there was history there. Like I knew that there was something there that was unexplainable. I remember looking at the mountains and I'm thinking to myself, what's inside of those? Like what kind of creatures or
Yeah.
fossils or whatever's inside of those? But something significant happened in all of those places. I mean, you can see water, you can see erosion, like way up high on the mountains. In
Yeah.
Sedona specifically, it's really weird, man. Like there's, the mountains, a bunch of the mountains there are red, but like when you look at it, the red ends at like the same place
Yeah, it's
on
weird.
all of the mountains.
It's weird.
So it makes you
Yeah.
wonder, like,
It's
what?
weird because out in Virginia we have mountains too, and it's like not where I live. We live in the flatlands, but like if you go out, the mountains here are very rolling hills. They're very pleasant. Of course, people go out to Charlottesville and everyone comments how that part of the state's very beautiful, especially like in the fall and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then you go out here and it's like, yeah, the Rockies and those places are just like, there's this awesomeness of it. Like it is kind of almost like you're on a different planet. Like, what is this?
Completely.
Like, I don't even understand what this is. But yeah, to take it back to the Hoover Dam.
Yes.
What I find interesting is that, so if you think about all the Native American legends about giants, them coming
Yep.
out of the earth, and this is what they say. This is their creation stories involve them coming out of the earth.
To rescue them and bring them in there for
Pretty
survival.
wild, pretty wild stuff. And then, so then, in the movie Frozen 2, did you ever see my Frozen video?
I didn't, and everyone lately's been posting on my videos to go watch Frozen 2, and I still haven't.
Frozen 2 was when I found out that, so the movie hinges on them destroying the dam. So Elsa, so it was funny. So Elsa and Anna, their great grandfather was the king. He made a deal with these tribal peoples, and so he sealed the deal with the dam. And they found out it was like a double cross by the king, and so the movie hinges on them blowing up the dam to basically free the elemental spirits from the forest, because
That's insane.
The forest was covered with a mist. Now the craziest part was when I started to make the connections between the Hoover Dam, not just them blowing up a dam, which obviously the $50 bill. We can just stress that real quick. So
Yep.
the $50 bill, you fold it a certain way, it looks like the Hoover Dam breaking. So there's always been a possible second 9/11 incident at the Hoover Dam.
Yep.
So then Disney makes a movie that I said, just think about this. So most of the time, a princess movie was about a princess versus a witch. This movie is about a princess who's a witch versus a dam. Like that's strange in itself.
That's significant.
That's significant. And also, when you find out, okay, so under Lake Mead, there lies an ancient city.
Yep.
There's a sunken city under Lake Mead. They said it was Anasazi. Anasazi had a city under there, and they said there's some up to 100 rooms, structures under there. So it's not just these little huts. It's like a little legit city. And so like I was wondering like, wow, is the Anasazi connection here like the North Undrel in Frozen 2?
Right.
And then you find out, I was just saying, it was funny, I was just saying the name, like Elsa, Elsa, and I was like, wait a minute, there's this, and I saw a picture, they look the same, and the craziest thing is when I made the connection, there's the eagle on there in front of the damn angels.
Yeah.
And it's looking like a star. You know, points to a star, and it's pointing like, so there's different like beams of light coming out from the wings. So when Elsa, the climax of the movie, the flood's coming from the broken dam, and it's gonna destroy Arendelle, their city. And so Elsa rushes up there on a horse, almost like Lucifer from from the Denver airport. She rushes up there, and she stops it, and like when it freezes, it literally makes the diamond from the star map and the eagle.
No way.
Oh yeah, and I said because you have to see that video because it's like,
I need to go watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to watch that video because there was even more connections because Alcyone was in like the Greek mythology was seduced by Poseidon. Well, in the movie Frozen, it's I think they call it Atuhalan. Atuhalan was the god of frozen water, and he was depicted as a horse seducing Elsa basically. And so like Atuhalan, the king or the god of frozen water, well Poseidon's not just the god of the sea, he's the god of water.
Right.
So it's like literally like this weird esoteric message.
And they gave birth to 3 children supposedly.
In this kids movie, Alcyone ends up getting killed and resurrected as a bird. So literally like when she freezes the map, like when she freezes the thing at the end, she's in the position where the eagle was. Bonkers.
That's unreal.
Like it is insane. Like you're thinking like, why? Like why would like this is Frozen 2? Like you think like of a kids movie. Like all they really had to do was like just make generic kids movie, following up like one of their biggest hits in many years from Disney, and they make the weirdest, most esoteric message in any kind of movie.
Well, it just goes to show you that they use any medium possible to deliver their message. And we know that, you know, most of those secret societies believe in having that karmic retribution or sharing that so that they don't have karmic retribution. And
right, yeah, it's almost like I always compare it to the meme of like the vampire. The vampire comes to your house and he says, "Well, aren't you going to invite me in? You know, if you invite me in, like I'm not coming in unless I'm invited." Well,
and what better way for us to invite that information into our lives than through innocent films or
kids movie,
what we think are innocent movies and films.
And think it's in jest.
Yes, and I've been and it also so I think there's 2 reasons they do that. I think one, because they get their information in front of more people, because people are less suspecting, and the other one is because it's like the amount of people that they can get it out to, right? Like versus the least suspecting they make it, the more difficult it is for people like you and I to talk about it, because the normies or the people that don't deep dive like us, they're gonna think it's even more ridiculous.
Oh yeah, like oh yeah, the people who think I'm crazy when they hear me talk about Frozen 2. Oh no, it's not just about any dam, it's about the Hoover Dam. I'm telling you.
Right. And they're like, okay, so now they're telling us the truth through Disney cartoons now.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Like, I've come to a point recently, like very recently, where I haven't had a TV for a while. I don't watch TV shows or anything like that, and I'm not really a casual movie watcher anymore. And now I will go back to watch movies more as a documentary and to learn things from. And I'm just going to be honest, man, the last few times that I've done that, it's showed me that quite literally they do this with every single one.
Yeah, I think that's I started to like understand almost like that when you think about it. I think a lot of Greek like mythology is like it's not.
That's everything to them.
It's like our modern movies are mythology because
Yeah.
it's like you're putting this certain moral message into this story. Because I've wondered when at one point I was doing some research about Rome, and when you hear about the history of Rome, like how the mythology of how it was founded, it is absolutely bonkers. And I was kind of wondering, like, I bet you the people who heard these stories, obviously the Romans were not stupid; they were very smart, probably a lot smarter than the people now.
Yeah.
So I think that obviously the priests had these messages, and they would put deep messages into the mythology, knowing there's grains of truth in this stuff. But I think even the common, like Roman, probably knew, this is probably they probably understood that it wasn't. It was a lot of allegory in that thing. So like but they don't understand like that. Like the people now don't understand that whether they want to believe it or not, they are being influenced through this medium. And like I said, when I say medium, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like this is magic.
We all know what that means. Yes,
this is magic.
Yeah, and I think that. So I think that because that was their theater, right? Like that was their way of sharing. That was their movies. That was their script writing. That was their way of conveying those stories, and people were captivated by those. That was their version of going to the movies and getting information, was reading those stories or hearing those stories. Or I would imagine there were probably plays that they could go and watch that
absolutely
that told those stories. But the other thing that I also think, and the more I learn, the more I think that honestly, the more I think that a lot of those stories really were literal. And because I believe, not all of them, and I can't say which ones were and which ones weren't, but like, dude, the when you get right down to it, like the Avengers, they're telling the story of the Nephilim.
Yeah, sure. Oh, for sure.
Each one of those characters represent one of the gods that came from the fallen, procreating with the women of Earth, and the lowercase g gods that came from them. Like, those are the stories that they're telling us now through these Marvel movies.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Quite literally.
I've made that connection. I think the reason I was reading into the Roman stuff, because it's like, the more I've actually researched this, like when you think about it, so obviously just think about the Nebuchadnezzar statue. Obviously, toward the end of it, you're getting to the Greeks, and then you get to the Romans.
Right.
So the Romans obviously take parts of the Greek mythology, but once I learned Greek mythology, a lot of it's copied straight from the Bible. Like the Greeks copied off what was actually true. So it's like, again, we serve a God of order, they serve a God of confusion. So it's like, well, this person's a woman in this person's religion, but it's like it's a man in this one, and this one it's like this. This is her name, and this like it is confusing, but like, I guess all that being said, it comes from a true place. These stories are not true, but it came from real events. And obviously, again, it's like a game of telephone over thousands of years. So it's like, how accurate is it? Well, the Bible's accurate, and that's why, praise God, we have that as to be our guide. Exactly. But they are literally going on oral traditions. The real big lie, though, is the way we're told what a myth is now. So we're told a myth is a story that's not true. The Greeks and the Romans, who are very smart, knew it was more than that. It was meant to teach you something, and obviously, I think they absolutely did know it came from a real place.
I believe that, and I also think that the methodology behind why they shared stories like that was because it's kind of like the casting pearls before swine kind of thing, where it's like those who they would call enlightened, the ones that are able to pick up the message through it are going to pick it up, and to everyone else, it's just going to be a story. I believe the priest always knew more about it than they ever told the people. Like, obviously, just like the secret societies, they were going to keep the real stuff for the initiated. No doubt. Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt, and so, just like they refer to us as the useless eaters. I think that's why. That's why it's their way of telling us the truth, but getting off the hook for everything, because to the average person, it just comes across as entertainment.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so it's like, you know, and then when you get to the point of realizing that it's not, and like I said, I recently came to the conclusion that, and I genuinely believe this, that 100% of everything that comes out of Hollywood is not just entertainment. I believe every single one of those, the TV shows, even modern day, but the TV shows, the movies, for as long as they've been doing it, there is a deeper message. There is a hidden meaning. Like,
Absolutely.